Hello and welcome. I'm Kim Denyes. I'm a spiritual director in Easton, Pennsylvania. And we're doing a small series on prayer. So this is part 3. My definition for prayer is from Richard Foster's book on prayer, and it is simply lifting our hearts and our minds to God. And then I like to add that it reminds me that I'm not in charge. It reminds me that God is in control. If you struggle with control issues, as many of us do in the United States, we're kind of taught to be in control. Do yourself a fabulous little treat. Have a little treat and go out as it's getting dark. Stand on your front step or your back step and look up to the heavenlies and just say, God, I know you're in control and I'm not. Breathe that in. So back to prayer. That was extra today, but back to prayer. I want to just name that we really need to bring, we are really invited to bring our real selves to God, our true selves to God. This isn't a PR visit with God. This isn't you naming to God how fabulous you are. God already knows how fabulous you are. Nor is it a visit to name that you're such a awful worm, because God's already forgiven that. So this is just a time to bring your real self to God. Now I want to invite you to consider some different ways to do that. In stillness, bring yourself to God. Lift your heart and mind to God in stillness. So that's maybe sitting quietly, still. No wiggling feet, no wiggling hands, stillness. Maybe the next day, you go for a walk or a run and you be with God. You lift your heart and mind to God in movement. Then maybe try quiet, just doing it in silence. Now for extroverts, that's tough. So you might know you need music. You need some quiet music. Turn the TV off. I'm not game on television if you're not, but maybe some nice contemplative music that supports your prayer time. And then we can pray with words or without words. Our lives are a prayer, as Francis Assisi said. But today I want to offer you a prayer practice based on an acronym. The acronym is ACTS, A-C-T-S. Now some people love a structure around a spiritual practice. And so for those of you who are more inclined in that direction, kind of a structure, you may love this. I think this comes from the Roman Catholic tradition. I heard it in a lecture from the Enneagram, Susan Stabile and Joseph Stabile, and I really enjoyed it, and so I wanted to bring it to you. The A in ACTS, so this is your prayer time, is adoration. That's where you express your love to God, your praise to God, your worship of God. Adoration. Then the next step of this is contrition. Contrition. That's a word of repentance. That's our word meaning repentance, same word. So maybe you take and have a moment where you and God do a little inventory. Have you been hateful? Have you gossiped? Have you been without self-control? Maybe even disobedient to something God has asked you to do? Time to make that right with God. Contrition. The T stands for thanksgiving. Recalling what God has done. It's interesting to me in the Old Testament, with great frequency, God says of the children of Israel that they failed to recall what God has done. I've noticed as I've worked with people, and I've noticed in my own life, there's something deeply faith-building when I recall what God has done. It encourages me to believe for the next situation that I need God's help with. So thanksgiving, recalling what God has done. And then the last thing is supplication, making your requests known to God. That's simple, right? Maybe you've got some needs or things you want God to be sure to be aware of. So that's ACTS, A-T-C-S, adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. Before I leave today, I want to offer one other thing about prayer. I want to ask you, when you're praying, to check with your body. Is your body aligned with the prayer? Let me ask that again. Is your body aligned with the prayer? So, from an example of my own life, I can recall a time when God was inviting me into a very deep surrender. It was deeper than I think God had ever asked of me. And my heart, my spirit wanted to surrender. But my mind could not get there. I knew the path was not going to be pleasant. I knew the path was going to have some additional surrender, if you will, and there's always some pain in that, right? I was praying one day, kind of sitting in my chair, and I was so aware of this disconnect. And almost without realizing it, I went to my knees on my floor, and then I went out flat, which to bow down flat before the Lord. I prostrated myself before God. It took several months, but I realized, the first time I did it, I realized that this is how I wanted to be before God. In this area, I wanted to be surrendered, and this is what surrendered looked like. But it took several months of doing that, of praying that way, maybe once a day, of just aligning the spirit, the heart, the mind, the body before God, till the surrender just kind of moved in. So I want to just invite you to think about how your body might align with your prayer. Do you need to raise your hands? Do you want to give thanks with your hands raised or out extended in front of you? Do you need to kneel? Do you need to walk or run? How might you express your heart's longing in a physical position? That's kind of the question. So we'll end there. Think about trying this out, this new, maybe new to you, new to me, acts, adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, supplication. Thank you so much for joining me. And I pray and hope that these might encourage you to spend more time with God. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.